Hi and welcome to this Blueberry Markets video update with me, John Kibler, head currency analyst. In this video, I'm going to take you through the week ahead analysis. I'm going to highlight the key data for this week, as well as some charts to watch. So going through to the news, then what do we have for this week? Well, we have some interesting data towards the end of the week. Obviously, it is the first Friday of the month, so we have employment data out of the US as well as Canada, but mainly the eyes will be on this data here. It is actually forecast to come in a little bit under the previous numbers that we've seen from the US, but we are looking to see if unemployment will fall through here. Now, interestingly enough, despite all this big data, we could see some pretty big moves in the markets just from the unexpected data, or the they call pretty much headline news, which is the new COVID variant, which I'll discuss in a second. So this news this week, despite the sort of amount that we have, may be overshadowed if there is any kind of significant updates to the new COVID variant. I'm not going to pronounce it. I think it's Omicron. I think it's called. It kind of follows the Greek sort of alphabet. So I think its name is Omicron, is what they've called it. And this new variant is more transmissible. There's not necessarily enough data to suggest if it is more sort of deadly either way, or whether it is more immune to the vaccines. There's not enough data, I don't think, about that yet. So just depends on kind of what we get out of the market this week on those headline news. We do have Fed Chairman Powell speaking this week. He's speaking at 8:05 p.m. This is all UK time, but we're speaking on Monday. We also have him testifying on Wednesday and Tuesday. So could really see some data, some volatility from the Federal Reserve. Now, they did talk about in their previous meeting minutes about the potential to increase the tapering measures. So that could be something that's discussed, and if they do kind of go ahead and sort of do the increase in tapering, there could be some significant selling in the dollar, just because they're trying ways of hedging that inflation, or to decrease that inflation that's been rapidly rising in the US. So could see some downside risk to the US dollar this week, as well as kind of some other data. We have GDP data coming out of Australia, which is looking pretty poor. I'd expect that to continue, especially with this risk off market at the moment. I expect Aussie weakness in the market. Obviously, we kind of already touched upon the new COVID variant, the Omicron variant. Again, not as much data, and we featured this in the Forex Friday wrap video, and basically we talked about the fact that cases in Europe are on the rise, and the fact that this new variant's come out has kind of shocked the market a little bit, and we've started to see a lot of almost fear in the markets and a lot of risk off the table. Going on to the strength meter, then, the risk not necessarily reflected here. We do have a rise in the US dollar, and it is now in an extreme oversold area on the strength meter. Basically, when the market gets into this +7 area, it's suggesting that this currency is very strong, but could start to show some signs of weakness. So perhaps that's to come this week for the US dollar. Kiwi is now the weakest currency, and I think obviously Aussie at the moment is sitting relatively down here at the grey line here. It's sitting below the zero line now, and I'm expecting more downside out of Aussie in line with this Kiwi move as well. So Aussie's looking pretty decent to the downside this week. Dollar's strong but could reverse. Yen very strong, and I think that could continue going into this week. So let's take a look at some charts. First of all, the dollar index, we can see that the last week's close was a sort of doji candlestick. It really depends how the market reacts to news this week. I think if we start getting more data out of the sort of new COVID variant, then we could see the dollar remain slightly strong, might slightly bid, just because of a safe haven sort of currency, and we could see it slightly bid. If it turns out that it's not that sort of important in terms of, I have seen some news lying around that the scientists that discovered the new variant is suggesting that symptoms are only very mild of the new variant, so that could be a factor if it's not going to have too much effect on the vaccines, and the vaccines have enough sort of again, don't know the word, but enough sort of strength and enough to kind of combat this new variant, then I think that the market should shrug this news off. But we can see how a new variant has really affected it. Pretty much the last week the market was pretty quiet, and then Friday we saw some huge moves. So if this is going to continue, we could see the dollar rally. If not, we could see that risk of a pullback. And like I said, if the Fed do announce the fact that they could increase their tapering measures, then dollar could fall this week. The lows are around about 95, 97 at the moment. If price trades below that, we could see some further downside to the US dollar. Going on to dollar yen then. So again, if the dollar is going to fall, or could potentially fall, yen has been rising or strengthening due to the risk in the market. We could see some dollar yen downside, perhaps back to this 111.67. And if that's the case, then if price was to pull back into sort of 113.80, we could look for maybe some lower highs in and around this area, or around about this 114.36 for some downside. Onto Kiwi yen then. So obviously yen strengthening, Kiwi weakening. Kiwi yen could move to the downside. We did talk about potential upside to this market seasonally. However, the unexpected news of this new COVID variant shot the market. Price moved aggressively to the downside. Could it continue? Potentially. And if it does, I think if it pulls back into sort of anywhere near these previous highs at 78.45, we could see some selling pressure coming back in at that point. Finally then, crude. Arguably, crude was the most affected market from that news last week. It dropped really aggressively to the downside, and like I said, if the risks do remain, then further downside on oil could be expected. So any kind of rallies here, I think, could be met with some downside if the news continues to worsen around the new COVID variant. So that's all I've got for you this week. I hope you enjoyed the video update. If you did, leave it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the YouTube channel to see some more of our Forex content. Stay safe trading this week. It's going to be a difficult one. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.